So here it is Wednesday, and I have not gotten a video up for the channel. I have been busy, I have a lot going on, but instead I'm going to try something a little different. Now, I know not everybody follows me on TikTok or has TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. Not that I've been giving much attention to the Instagram. But instead, I am going to try and give y'all a compilation of my series on TikTok of things I hate about Witchtok. Because it's fun, it's funny, it's educational. I feel like it would do really well over here. But I hope y'all like it. And I'm gonna do several of these because I'm on like episode 16, 17, I think, as far as the series goes. So got quite a few for you. So I am just going to make a whole collage of these videos, and I hope y'all like them. And I'm sorry that I didn't get anything out on time, and I've been late the last couple weeks. Just a lot going on right now, but I'm still trying to keep up with weekly uploads. So I hope y'all enjoy. Howdy. Let's have a talk. So, I'm pretty new to the TikTok. This is my first video I'm making for the TikTok. And I thought it would be a great way to start off my videos with things on Witchtok that I hate. It didn't take long to find some things. And I wrote a list, because I'm going to make several of these. And if you like them, hit that like. If you want more, hit that follow, hit my DMs, whatever, all that jazz is. So let's talk about some video that I watched not that long ago that was 11 signs that you're a natural witch. Let me tell you why I got a problem with that. There's only one sign that you're a witch. Just one. Only one. You know what that is? Practicing witchcraft. So some of the things that were listed were hating large crowds, preferring silver over gold, being nocturnal, lucid dreams, but not all the time. You love nature, and the list goes on. So let me tell you why I have a problem with this. Because sometimes people just like things. And none of these are symptoms of being a natural witch. Because guess what? You have to practice witchcraft in order to be a witch. Otherwise, you're just a normal person. Because it's like, just because you have an interest in first aid doesn't mean you're a natural doctor. And just because you really like to argue with people doesn't make you a natural lawyer. These things require skill and practice and time invested. So guess what? If you're watching videos on symptoms of being a witch, unless you're practicing, it doesn't matter how many of those symptoms that you meet, you are not a natural. Howdy, y'all. It's that time for a conversation again. So this will be my second things I hate about Witchtok. So, what's today's thing? Using your style of magic as an excuse to be a dick. So, as you know, I've not been on the TikTok very long. About a week and a half now. And I've been exploring. And I was in the comments section on one video. I couldn't tell you what video it is. I don't remember. But in the comment section, piece of advice that somebody was giving somebody was just awful advice. Awful advice. They were telling a baby witch to summon things for protection. Let me explain. That is a terrible idea. That is a really, really bad idea. Because summoning things is more advanced magic. And that's not something you teach a baby witch because they're still working on learning to protect themselves. Summoning is not what they need to be doing. Like, give them the basics. Don't give them something like that. Anyway, I digress. So, I had to reply on this comment because I was like, that is just some awful advice. Don't tell them that. And they were like, well, it's not for beginners. I was like, but they're clearly a beginner and they're stating that they're a beginner. So you knew this going in. And they were like, well, I'm a chaos witch. That's just what I do. Excuse me. What? Okay. So now we're going to talk about that. It does not matter what your practice is. It does not matter at all, because your practice isn't everybody else's practice. And by justifying really bad advice like, oh, that's just my practice, first of all, you make the rest of the people that actually practice that look really bad. Second, you are not respecting their right to choice and what practice they want to have, or what, like, we all explore things to get into our own practice, but when you're imploring your own practice onto them without explanation and it being terrible advice, you're kind of like shoving them and taking some of their choice away. At least in my opinion. People may not agree with that, but I don't care. The fact of the matter is, don't be a dick and then blame it on your practice, because it makes your practice look bad. And it gives a bad impression, and it scares the little babies. So we're not going to do that anymore, okay? No more. So I had a lot to say about this. So I'm making part 2 on the whole blaming your practice on being a giant jerk. I'm actually retaking this part 2 because I played it back and realized I was cussing a lot. So we're going to get down to the meat of it. One of the reasons that I do not like this, what it bothers me about it, is when you do things like blaming your practice on why you're like the way that you are, is no different than being like these little girls out here that are super toxic and act all bipolar. No offense, bipolar people. I know you can't help it. But when they're like, oh, it's because I'm a Gemini. No, it's because you're toxic. But to me, blaming your practice is no different than that. And it's just a real bad look. The other thing that I really just do not like about it is, if you're going to give advice, it needs to be good advice. It needs to be constructive advice. But when you're giving bad advice like that, especially that in particular, you're setting that beginner up to get hurt, to fail, and, do something very dangerous. Like, it's bad advice, and it's bad advice going in, but you're giving it to them anyway because you're a chaos witch. No, it's because you're being super toxic and kind of malicious, if I'm being honest. And that's not okay. And I am of this mindset that if you are going to tell someone they're wrong or give them advice or anything like that, you need to have an explanation behind it. Even if you're going to be like, no, that's not right, you need to tell them why. Because if you think you have enough authority to tell them what is right and wrong, you have the obligation to explain to them why. And not just be like, oh, no, that's not right, and then nope out. So you need to think about that. Is your advice good advice? Are you just trying to be a jerk and set someone up to fail or get hurt? You need to think about these things before you, in them comment sections with really bad advice, and then turning around like, oh, that's because of my practice. No. Because not only are you setting them up, you're making all your people look bad. Because keep in mind, when you go out there and you're like, oh, I'm this type of thing, or I am this type of witch, you have automatically put yourself as a representative of that practice. So when you do sucky things, you hurt everybody. And it took us a long time to come away from bad reputations. Don't ruin it for everybody else. Welcome to another episode of Things About Witchtok That I Hate. Today's episode, being lazy. I know we've all seen the videos. Lazy way to do this. Easy hack to do that. And all the shortcuts and all the little, lazy hacks. Because it's what they are, is lazy hacks. Let me explain to you why I got a problem with lazy magic. My problem with lazy magic is, if you understand anything about the fundamentals of magic, then you understand you get out what you put in. So and I've actually made this comment on other people's videos before, but when your crafting is lazy, your results are lazy. When you cut corners, your results are going to be weak. Because keep in mind that keyword, crafting. So it's going to be the difference between, Like, are you going to try and Elmer glue something together? Or are you going to cement weld that? Just as an example, like, you're going to get back what you put in. So when you do things like, I believe the video in question was putting a stick of incense and some salt and then burning it down to like make a lazy way to make black salt. That's, first of all, like, I mean, yeah, I guess it would technically work, but at the same time, what's it really gonna work on? Because I'm gonna tell you, like, it ain't gonna work as well as you think it is. And to me, that's just cutting a corner on something that is a protection thing. And you don't want to cut corners on your protection stuff. That is, of all the places that you don't want to cut a corner, it's that. I mean, if you're wanting to cut corners on like making teas and reading the leaves and stuff like that, that's one thing. Because, I mean, the process of the tea itself is not what you're looking for. It's the end result that you're looking for, as far as, you know, reading them or whatnot. But I'm serious. Like, y'all gotta quit being lazy about this, because when you're putting in lazy and you're getting back lazy, guess what? You are not growing as a witch. You are not growing in your practice at all. And like, de-effort, not a effort, de-effort. You gotta put that work in if you want to get where you're going and get the results that you want. Time for another episode of Things on Witchtok That I Hate. I have been noticing that everyone is using incense for everything, like cleansing and charging and protection and okay, so let me explain why this is a problem. So, incense is for cleansing spaces prior to doing any kind of work. That's it. That is it. Unless you're like worshiping, which is an appropriate use of it, like at a shrine or petitioning a deity, that sort of thing. I'm not recommending petitioning deities. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're new, let's not do that, okay? There's a whole process to that. If you want to know more, you are welcome to ask me about it. I am technically a high priestess. I don't talk about it a lot because that's my personal thing, but I've been doing it for a very long time. So if you have questions, I will be more than happy to oblige them. But let's get back to incense. Incense's purpose is to clear a space out before doing work. You can also do this with other things like tobacco and sage and cedar. I highly recommend cedar if you're not comfortable with sage, but I'll do a different video on that because I have opinions about the sage gatekeeping thing. But I mean, these are options. You can use rosemary. Like, there's all sorts of things that you can do that are not only going to do the same thing, but they're going to work a lot better. Incense is not for protection. Incense is not going to protect you. You have a billion options out there that are way better than incense for protecting you. I understand some of y'all are using them for your black salt. That is okay. Do I think it's going to work that well? No, I do not. Because there is always a better way to do things. And the more you practice, the more you will learn that there is always a better, stronger way of doing things. Please stop relying on incense for your protection. It is not going to get it. It's not going to get you there. Because, I mean, the things that incense is going to stop is so minute, they couldn't hurt you to begin with. So, if you want to use it for cleansing, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Go ahead and do that. But if you're going to use it for protection, do not do that. Don't do that, because you are going to set yourself up to have faith in something that is not going to work when you need it to. So, up your game. Up your game. Stop relying on the bare minimum of things.